Hi everyone. So today we're going to be talking about Ganesha and why Ganesha is so important in our life. We'll follow it by a short mantra and meditation as well. So anyone who follows Hinduism knows that no ritual or prayer will begin without invoking the blessings of Lord Ganesh. And almost all homes have a picture or statue or idol of Ganesha. For me, Ganesh Chaturthi meant the beginning of festival time in India. All these festivals come in a period known as Dakshinaya. It's a time when the earth seems to be moving in a downward spiral in space, and it's also called the dark period or a feminine period. It's because most of the festivals start after Ganesh Chaturthi. All the earth honoring festivals, ancestor honoring festivals, all these ritualistic things begin after Ganesh Chaturthi. And or Ganesh Chaturthi, you can say, is the beginning to all these things. So we invoke for the blessings of Ganesha so that our entire process of honoring our ancestors, honoring the earth, and rituals that are connected to the feminine aspect of divinity go smoothly. Now, most of the stories in our scriptures are symbolic, and so is the story of the birth of Lord Ganesha. Ganesha was a creation of Ma Parvati or Shakti, like we all are. We are all creations of the Divine Mother. Anything that you see in manifestation is a creation of the Divine Mother. And he was to protect his mother while she was having a bath, including from Lord Shiva, who was technically his father, but in his ignorance he did not recognize Shiva and stopped him from coming into the area where Ma Parvati was having a bath. Now, father here is symbolic for our creator, for the divinity that has given life to us. Many times we, in our ignorance, are unaware of the fact that there is a higher factor at work. There is this consciousness that we are operating from, this consciousness that is guiding us. And when we are not aware of that aspect of our life, we tend to act out of ignorance, out of our ego mind rather than our higher mind. So, likewise, in our ignorance, we do not recognize what is good for us or what is bad for us, and we end up making a mistake. Now, it is sometimes through these mistakes that we become wiser for the next time, hopefully. And so Shiva decided that okay, it's time to teach his son a lesson. He's a very courageous son, but he needs a little bit of wisdom. So he decided to cut off Ganesha's head. The head symbolizes the ego mind, the stubbornness, the stupidity we do because of our thoughts, which are not in place when we work out of the ego. And we end up making a mess of our lives. So when Ganesha's head is cut off, the Divine Mother comes in and asks Shiva to revive her son. And like any good husband, Shiva decides, okay, let me give her something better. So he wanted to add to what he had destroyed. And he replaces the mind of Ganesha with wisdom, mindfulness, and a great memory, which is symbolized by the elephant's head. This is this can also be called the spiritual rebirth of Ganesha. When the Divine Mother created us, when the Divine Mother created Ganesha, he was operating from a lower mind, from a lower consciousness. When something drastic happens in our life, when our heads are cut off, or when not literally, but when in life we go through struggles, we realize that there is something bigger, there is something greater at work here. And this was the work of Lord Shiva, where he taught his son wisdom, mindfulness, and intelligence. Now, the other thing that Ma Parvati said is that Lord Ganesha will be the first to be worshipped before worshipping any other god or goddess. Now, I did discuss this in one of my earlier meditations on the beach mantras that every chakra has a god and goddess attached to it. Now, when we look at the basic chakra, which is our Muladhara, where life begins, that's the first of our chakras. Now, this chakra is symbolized by a picture of the elephant. Any of you who have seen ancient texts or seen pictures of the chakras, the basic chakra always has an elephant So now what does this symbolize? The elephant is also sometimes recognized as the Kundalini Shakti or as the divine feminine Shakti lying at the base of our spine. It is sometimes symbolized by a cobra and sometimes by the elephant head. So the Kundalini Shakti, which is the Shakti which everybody talks about, that when you awaken the Kundalini, you become enlightened. There are many layers of Kundalini you have to awaken before you can become enlightened, and everybody has a different uh, experience and situation with it. That is something we can talk about later. So this is the Kundalini Shakti or the energy of Ma Parvati lying at the base of our spine, which has to be raised from the base of our spine to the top of our head to our crown so that we can become mentally and spiritually strong. This is also called Kundalini rising. The symbolism of the elephant head means that whatever obstacles come in our path of raising this Kundalini from the base of our spine to the top of our head have to be dealt with by willpower, wisdom, or love, and intelligence. These three qualities are also the qualities of the Trinity of God, which is symbolized by the Trishul. And it was the Trishul which severed Lord Ganesha's head. So it could be symbolized that love, light, and power, the Trinity of God, was used to slay off the ego mind and replace it with a more intelligent, loving, and a wise mind. This is the actual significance of why this whole story happened. Now, on top of his head, he has a golden crown or a ball, which symbolizes the 12th chakra. You also notice that a lot of temples have this golden ball right at the top of the building. So, this is the energy of the higher soul. This is the chakra where our higher soul resides. And whenever we are connected to that chakra, when we are in sync with our higher self, we'll always act out of these three qualities of love, light, and power. So this is what the symbolism behind the crown, the ball at the crown of the head means. Ganesha's trunk is mostly to the left, which is also known as the feminine side of the body, the Parvati side, Shakti side, whatever you may want to call it. It is also the non-violent side of our body. And in my interpretation, since he is the son of the Divine Mother, his trunk is always to the left. His tusk is broken. The left one is intact, the right one is broken. Now, right one is related to the masculine aspects of harshness, of violence, of, you know, doing things in a forceful and a strong way. It's not a bad thing, it's just not the feminine way, it's a masculine way. And sometimes you do need a masculine way of handling things. I'm not trying to define gender roles here. This is just the way creation is made, and it is there in all aspects. And the ultimate thing that we have to do for ourselves is to balance that our own inner feminine and masculine energies. When we can balance our own inner feminine and masculine energies, our relationship with each one in our life will be in perfect harmony. So, Ganesha is just the feminine aspect of godhood. Since Ganesha believes in non-violence, his right tusk is broken because he chooses to use his brain rather than his limbs to overcome the obstacles. Now, this is also shown by the story where Ganesha and Lord Kartikeya are asked to go around the world 7 times to prove their strength and might. Lord Kartikeya diligently sets off to fulfill his goal, while Ganesha gets onto his mouse, which is also his vehicle. The mouse here is symbolic for the pineal gland, and anyone who has done astral travel knows the power of the pineal gland. It can be used as a vehicle to travel the cosmos and all the planets and wherever you are capable of going with that energy. And he goes around his parents, Shiva and Shakti, who mean the entire universe for him. And it is also The pineal gland is also the gland when it is activated and when it is working in its full power. It also helps us recognize our oneness with all, our oneness with our divine nature, our oneness with God, oneness with our family members, even those who we don't get along with. We understand that there is something which is the same in us. We are one. Even the bad qualities of that person reflect in me, somewhere in me. So this is what the power of the pineal gland can do for you. It can help you travel astrally. It can help you achieve your oneness with your higher self, with God, with all creatures. So what Lord Ganesha does is that he sits on that mouse, he sits on that pineal gland or the blue pearl as it is called, and he goes around his parents 7 times and he says, I am one with you and I am one with this whole universe. And thus I have done what you have asked me to do. So this is using intelligence versus using physical strength. There is one more thing that I would like to share, and it's the posture in which Ganesha sits. You'll always notice Ganesha's left foot touching the perineum and the right foot on the floor. So now the perineum has a lot of nadis connected to it, which activate the Sushumna, because the nadis are connected from the base of our spine area to our entire body. And when we have our left foot touching the perineum or even close to the perineum, certain energy points get activated. Why I say even close? Because nadis or meridians, these are electrical energies. So even when it is close or the intention is there to connect these nadis, the electric charge in our body gets activated and the Sushumna uh, channel, which is the central channel in our body where the Kundalini rises from, that also gets activated. So this is also one of the main reasons why Mahamudra and Siddhasana and these asanas in yoga are done to activate the Kundalini energy, or in simple terms to send the energy from the lower chakras up to the higher chakras. And it's a good asana to sit in, a good posture to sit in, especially when you're meditating or when you're studying. When you need more mental energy, mental work to be done, it's a good asana to sit in. So we'll start with the mantra and the meditation now. You can sit with your left leg touching the perineum or close to it, right foot on the floor, or you can sit cross-legged with your right foot on top of the left foot. I'm already sitting in that posture. So now take a deep breath, keep your spine straight, focus on the base of your spine. Take a deep breath down into the base of the spine. Exhale, release. To the Divine Supreme Being, to Lord Ganesha, Lord Shiva, Ma Shakti, I humbly invoke for your divine light, love and power. I ask that my lower mind, my ego mind, be replaced with the mind of wisdom, love, intelligence, and light. Take a deep breath. Inhale down to the spine. Visualize your base chakra, the root, Muladhara. Visualize the elephant energy, the wisdom, sitting at the base of the spine in the form of the Kundalini Shakti. Inhale. Take a deep breath into the base of the spine. Hold this energy there. Squeeze your perineum muscles, your navel, your lower chakras. Squeeze and hold. Now bring this energy, visualize it coming up the spine to your solar plexus. Squeeze your heart, your throat, head, at the top of the head, and exhale. Now visualize this energy surrounding your entire aura, radiating out. Once again, take a deep breath. Inhale, base of the spine. Ask for this energy to be activated. Squeeze the muscles at the base of the spine. Squeeze, squeeze, hold. Exhale and lovingly bring it up the spine, up to your crown, and exhale it out of the crown chakra into your entire aura. Now once again, take a deep breath. Inhale, base of the spine. Activate this energy. Activate the energy of the Shakti of Lord Ganesha, and ask for this wisdom, this intelligence to come up the spine, up, up to your crown, and out of your crown into your entire aura. Now radiate this energy out as love, light, and the power to do good. Now take a deep breath, focus on the heart. Smile at your heart. Ask for all blockages to be released. Anything that you feel may be blocking you at this point of time, ask for it to be released. Send lots of love to your heart. And we'll do the Ganesh mantra, focusing on the heart. Now we'll ask Lord Ganesha to free our path towards wisdom and enlightenment from all trouble, from all obstacles. Focus on the heart. Vakrakundu Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Visualize all blockages from your spinal area being disintegrated and released. If you can sense any blockage, just breathe into that area. Once again, we'll do the 3 breaths of inhaling down into the base of the spine, squeezing this energy. Squeeze your entire navel towards the spine. Squeeze your solar plexus chakra. Bring this energy up from the base to the heart, to the throat, to the head, to the third eye, up out of your crown, and send this out to the universe. Invoking for wisdom, for intelligence, and for the willpower to follow your higher self. Once again, inhale. Bring this energy to the base of the spine. Hold. Squeeze. Bring this energy up. Squeeze your entire pelvic muscle, your solar plexus. Bring it up to the neck, to the pineal gland, and out of the crown, out to the universe. One last time, take a deep breath, inhale, squeeze this energy at the base of the spine, squeeze your entire spinal area, bringing the energy up to the crown, and exhale out into the universe. Now just be aware of your entire body. Be aware of your spine. If you sense any blockages or any pain anywhere, breathe into that area. Or if you wish to, you can just focus on the heart and send this love to the Creator, to Lord Ganesha, send gratitude for your entire being. Bless everyone in your family, in your life, and in the world with divine light, divine love, and divine power. May they all follow their higher selves. May they all be guided by love, by wisdom, and by inner strength to do what is best for their higher selves. So be it, so be it, so be it. Whenever you feel ready, you can come out of this meditation.